Welcome back to another episode on the MLD Balls page. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about the Phoenix Suns and are them boys contenders or are they not? All right, so before we talk about the Phoenix Suns, let's talk about the move that made me want to talk about the Phoenix Suns with Tyus Jones. I remember I did a video on the Phoenix Suns earlier this offseason. Check it out if you want to, but it's kind of a bit outdated now. I was wondering what are they going to do with this point guard spot, and they've attacked it with Tyus Jones, who I think is one of the best 25 point guards in the NBA. I feel like he's a middle of the pack point guard, very good with not turning the ball over. He gets a lot of assists. He's very one of those guys who, makes a lot of plays and doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He's a good 3-point shooter and he's a good defender. Like, that's something that's underrated about Tyus. I feel like his defense is something people don't really, know that much about. But let me tell you, Tyus Jones is a pretty good perimeter defender. And like I said, good 3-point shooter. And he is in that Pokemon thing where I don't know how to explain it, but y'all know the upgraded Pokemon versions. You got Chris Paul, you got Kyle Lowry, you got Tyus Jones. He's one of those guys who good defender, good 3-point shooter, great playmaker. He may not be as good as Chris Paul, may not be as good as Kyle Lowry, but he plays that role and he can shoot threes well. And with the Suns, they look best with point guards. Like their big three. You got Kevin Durant, who's looked best with Westbrook, Curry, Kyrie. You got Beal, who's looked best with Rubio, with Chris Paul, and then you have Bradley Beal, who's looked best with Westbrook and John Wall. That just when you have scoring guards like those guys are, I know KD's a power forward, but he's just a unicorn in himself. But when you have that many scoring players, getting them a point guard who sets them up easy plays is a great thing to have. And now they got Tyus Jones on a steal. Him on a minimum is a steal. They committed robbery. That's a robbery. And Tyus Jones, this is all right. Y'all don't think I'm worth money? Bet I'm gonna go to the Suns for a minimum, and y'all gonna see how I change this team. Because Tyus Jones on the Suns, that is a dramatic difference. Mike Budenholzer on the Suns, is that a dramatic difference than Vogel? I don't know, man. I feel like Vogel was a scapegoat, but like Mike Budenholzer is also better, in my opinion. Budenholzer is a bit better, but they ain't the same realm. They're defensive coordinators who they coach up the defensive side of the ball well, and on offense they need point guards. I feel like that was the issue with the Suns. I don't think Frank Vogel was a problem at all. The only problem with the Suns was the players laughing at Frank Vogel when they're down like 30 points against the Clippers at halftime, and they're like, ha ha ha, you want us to play hard? No, we're down 30, bro. Like, that's the issue, the people in the locker room. But Frank Vogel, this Suns defense was a top 15 defense last year. They were ranked 13th to be exact. And with the lineup of Bradley Beal, Grayson Allen, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Yusuf Nurkic, that's very impressive. You don't have any defensive stoppers on that team, and you're a top half defense. That is very impressive. And Mike Budenholzer, I do think he's going to be capable of doing similar things, but this season, the Suns' offense is going to look just way better because they're walking into the season with 2 point guards. And going into the season last year, Frank Vogel voiced his opinion on that. He said, y'all, I need a point guard. And then they were like, haha, no, we got Devin Booker, bro. And now, Mike Budenholzer got his job and he's getting a point guard like he said he needed. And, the Suns just needed someone to blame for getting swept. Don't understand how that works. But let's talk about what was the problem with the big three. This big three, the problem just they're all shooting guards, man. Like I said, Kevin Durant 7 foot tall. I understand that, but at the end of the day, that these guys are people who you shouldn't be your primary ball handler throughout the whole entirety of a game. And in closing lineups, this Phoenix Suns team was just not it. They were the worst team in the clutch besides the Miami Heat and the Detroit Pistons. They were ranked bottom of the league in clutch stats. And for a team that is built upon their offense not being able to score at end of games, it kind of shows you there's a problem. And the problem was no playmaking. This team was one of the teams in the league that had the most turnovers per game. A lot of turnovers. You don't know who to give the ball to at end of the game. It just sounds like a team with a lot of point guard issues. And Like I said, this offseason, they attacked that. That's been the problem with this big three. And you're gonna have to utilize Devin Booker more at small forward than point guard. If I were to use Devin Booker at a secondary position, because he is a shooting guard, but we're just gonna put Bradley Beal there, I would put him at small forward instead of point guard. He is great enough to play the one, two, the three. So I understand Devin Booker being at point guard sometimes, even now with these new point guards on the roster, but just not the entire game, not the entire season. Just let him let him get a place where he can have advantages created for him also, because Tyus Jones, he did pretty good with the Wizards. So imagine what he could do with the Suns, if he was creating advantages out there for Danny Avdija, who had a career year, Kyle Kuzma, who looked great, Corey Kispert. Imagine what he could do with Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, man. That would be so tough. That is going to be so tough. Let's talk about the starting lineup from last year. What the Phoenix Suns did. This is not the starting lineup that I think that they're going to go to next season. Not the starting lineup I think they should even go to. But it wouldn't be crazy if this is what they went to. You get Tyus Jones, he comes off the bench. I doubt it. I doubt Tyus Jones took a minimum and is coming off the bench. I just highly doubt that. That sounds too good. And it's not even what I would want if I was Phoenix. Royce O'Neal off the bench is tough. Mason Plumlee, like that's a good three people for a playoff rotation off the bench. And then you got Josh Okogie, Monte Morris, who could, give you some additional time. This Phoenix Suns roster gotten better than last year. Last year, they had the fakest depth, and people were just so high on Yuta Watanabe and stuff like that. I couldn't believe that people thought Yuta Watanabe was a real piece on the team. But Mason Plumlee's not that bad. Royce O'Neal, I like him. And Tyus Jones is great. Another lineup that I think is very possible what they go to is Tyus Jones being the starting point guard, and he's going to facilitate for those three guys, like I said. If you could just have Tyus Jones start off games and be like, hey, you have Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant, and you just create open looks for those guys and pick a role with Yusuf Nurkic. That would be a great thing because those guys will all have Tyus Jones creating advantages for them, and they're going to be able to absolutely kill on that time, man. Like Tyus Jones is also going to be a pretty good defender, so you're not losing too much with Grayson Allen. He can replace Grayson Allen shooting. He's that good of a shooter. Grayson Allen, yeah, is better, but same thing. Tyus Jones is a real good shooter himself, so it ain't like his spacing is dramatically changed. If anything, it improves because of his playmaking gravity. Like he'll be able to handle the ball, go downhill more than the Grayson Allen, and yeah, that's something very, very well to have on your team, man. And the lineup I think they should go to is Bradley Beal off the bench. You have Tyus Jones start, you have Grayson Allen start, and that's real good defense right there. Like I said, Mike Budenholzer is a defensive guy, and if you can have your starting backcourt be nice, two-way, gritty defensive players, that's cool. And also, Grayson Allen was on the Bucks for Mike Budenholzer, so in the real world, favoritism is something that's a little bit, it's there. It's there. Even though we want to say that it's not, it is. And also, I do think he's just a better option for the starting five. He has the chemistry with Bud. He's the better fit. He gives them what they need. He fits the scheme. It's like there's every reason you should start Grayson Allen over Bradley Beal. And then you have Devin Booker, Kevin Durant with Yusuf Nurkic. Off the bench, like I said, though, Bradley Beal, if this team has Bradley Beal off the bench, they are a championship team. If this team could go into the season with Bradley Beal willing to play and come off the bench, that's amazing for them because the whole reason Bradley Beal wouldn't want to come off the bench is, hey, if I ever go into free agency, I'm going to make less money. Well, guess what, buddy? You're signed here for like 4 more years and you're making $50 million a year. You're signed. You have $200 million left on your contract, buddy. Come on. You can come off the bench and help us win a ring. And Bradley Beal would instantly be a 6 Man of the Year candidate, probably my favorite to win the award because he will play so many minutes. Even though he's coming off the bench, he's going to get more minutes than Grayson Allen. It's just that he fits the starting lineup more, and he's someone that you want to start off games with. And especially what he brings on the defensive side of the ball, Bradley Beal is just not bringing that. He just isn't. Royce O'Neal off the bench is really good. Mason Plumlee's Mason Plumlee's like sometimes a sneaky triple double. like believe it or not, he gonna get one of them a year. I ain't saying like he Jokic, but he gonna get like one or two of them things, boy. Nice all around player. Okogie, we already know what he is. Monte Morris is gonna be the other backup guard that comes in, and like I said with Tyus, is similar to Monte but worse. doesn't turn over the ball that much. Decent playmaker, and it's just better than what they had last year at that point. I'm not saying he's all great. I'm not vouching for him, but better than last year at that point. Damian Lee, solid shooter in his ear, little, yeah, Bobo, and a fun player. Hopefully he could get things a little more figured out, because if he could get more minutes, hey man, Bobo, bro, he's not that bad. I understand that people think Bobo isn't that bad, but I don't want to spend time talking about him, because he could either be a, yeah, Bobo, man, Bobo. Either way, let's talk about what matters: the closing lineups and the backup units. I think that this team would have Bradley Beal close. Yes, I said that he would come off the bench, but end of the game, it's still Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is still a great player, and him with, like I said, Tyus Jones, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker, they're going to be able to feed off of Tyus Jones playmaking that in the games. And this was a big thing for the Phoenix Suns. Like I said, at the end of the games, they wasn't able to get down clutch buckets. And now you're going to give a great playmaker three guys that he could pass to get a clutch bucket. And before, it was really just one scorer with two scores off the ball. If, like, for example, Devin Booker would have the ball in his hands, and Devin Booker at heart is a scorer, and then he'd have two scorers, next to him. But now Tyus Jones will be the one with the ball instead, with three scorers next to him. That's tough. That's tough. That's tough. And then in times where Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, yeah, when Tyus Jones is on the bench, I still think you will let those guys run point guard throughout spurts of the game. I understand they got Monte Morris too, but like I said, there is a Devin Booker and Bradley Beal are better than Monte Morris. We understand that. It's just they needed someone who could take the lead at some times, and Tyus Jones will be that. Grayson Allen locked in at backup too. I love Grayson Allen for this team. Man, if you could have somebody who could shoot like that and play defense, you locked into the NBA for a long time too. Royce O'Neal is a great option off the bench. And a guy who we're going to talk about in the next slide is Dunn. If you don't know about him yet, you're going to learn about him. And Dunn is going to be nice, because this team needs a power forward super bad. This team needs some size. They like one piece away from being like a legit contender. If they could get a defensive front court player, I don't know if it's at the 4, I don't know if it's at the 5, but wherever it is, if they could find it, come get it. Dorian Finney-Smith would be nice. Even a JaVale McGee. I understand JaVale McGee may not be all that, but even a JaVale McGee would be nice for this team. Just anything, just more defense in the front court, and you're gonna have Dunn. We're gonna see what he can do. And this team, this Suns team is not that bad at all, man. Imagine, like, especially like a Bobo. I'm not totally out on him. If Bobo could improve just even a little bit with his just being able to stay in the game, bro, that's gonna be tough. He could add some weight. He's staying games longer because he's very unique. He's like all around player, rebound a little bit. He can shoot pretty well, good at getting into the basket. If he can just play some defense and add weight, Bobo, come on, man, come do it for me, bro. Osai Algadarabar, I don't really know about him too much. He's the one player on the roster that I don't know about too much. I think he was a second round pick this year, so I see that. He almost has a solidified roster spot, so we're gonna see what we got in him. And like I said, Ryan Dunn, he is a 21-year-old, 6'6", 214 pounds, and he plays the forward position. He was listed at guard in Virginia, but I couldn't disagree with him being a guard anymore. He's not a guard. He's gonna be like your Asar Thompsons. He's gonna be like your, that's my favorite comp for him, probably Asar Thompson. And he's super athletic, great shot blocker. He has a 7'2" wingspan. He's good at roaming, like how Jaren Jackson kind of roams on defense. Bam Adebayo roams on defense. He's the safety on defense, and I like that because he could guard 1 through 5 legitimately, or maybe not 5 because he's just not big enough, but he could help guard 5. So that's why I think he could play power forward. Good screen setter. He's super athletic, so he's a real nice dunker too. He could cut off ball. He has great transition offense. He's a problem, but on the offensive side of the ball, like I said, I don't see him as a guard because he has a weak handle. He can't really play make, and he can't shoot. What he literally does is set screens and dunk the ball like Bam Adebayo does sometimes. Like it look like as a Heat fan, watching the way he sets picks and then rolls to the rim with the athletic dunk, it looked like what Bam Adebayo be doing a lot of times. And on the defensive end, it's kind of similar, but more like he's a versatile defender. Matisse Thybulle, because I think he could guard guards very well and wings. And how he does it is with his off ball, with reading passing lanes, real good at that, real smart. He was the defensive player of the year for college this season. Jaren Jackson, like I said, he good roamer. AK-47 because he's a versatile defender. Bam Adebayo with the way that he scores and the pick and roll dunk, athletic dunks with him being a roamer. Like he could guard everyone. Like I said, Marcus Smart. He's one of those guys who's listed at guard, and Marcus Smart is a guard, but he does really well at guarding big people. Like he does better in the post. Like Ryan Dunn's post defense is what I liked about him, but also reminded me of Robert Williams a little bit because the shot blocking, he actually gets up. Like Robert Williams, he plays the same safety role and gets up with it instead of just contesting. Ryan Dunn is a jumper, he gonna get his blocks. Asar Thompson gonna get his rebounds just like him. And Blake Griffin, like I said, with the dunks again, bro. Ryan Dunn is super nice, can't shoot, can't play make, can't handle the ball. But guess what? You're on a team that has Tyus Jones, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Monte Morris. You don't need to do that. They just need somebody who can play defense and play hard, and that's what this guy's gonna do. Super athletic, gonna get them rim pressure, gonna get them some solid minutes at the defensive spot. And he's 21 years old. He's not as young as some of these other guys. Like he's been in college for a while, defensive player of the year in college. I think he could be at least a positive defensive player for the Suns team, and that's just what they need at that spot because he'll be the 10th man. It's not like they're gonna ask a lot for him. I'm just asking. I'm just gonna ask from Ryan Dunn at least be what Asar. Asar was a better playmaker. At least be Matisse Thybulle for this team, And if they have a Matisse Thybulle at the power forward position, that's great for them. That's great, and I'm pretty sure Suns fans will love that. Not gonna ask too much out the draft because it was a pick 20s or whatever, but solid player. And yeah, that'll be it for this video. I do think that the Phoenix Suns are looking the best that they've ever had because last year I was not in on this team at all. And this year with this Tyus Jones contract, I think that's what opened the title window for this team. The title window was not open until this Tyus Jones deal. And depending on their starting lineup, that's going to tell me even more about them. Because if this team has Bradley Beal coming off the bench, I'm totally bought in. But if they have Grayson Allen coming off the bench, I could still be bought in because I would understand that. But if they don't make a move near the trade deadline, especially with how many second round picks they got, I'd be a little bit surprised. I do think they're gonna go after that defensive wing, like I said, unless Ryan Dunn just goes berserk and they could go at something else that they need. But I do think this is a team that makes a small move at least at the trade deadline, just for a role player, similar to like what they did for David Roddy and Royce O'Neal. This team is just too bought in to not. Every trade deadline, this is going to be a team that parlays a couple second round picks for a Jay Crowder, and that's going to be a positive thing for them because those type of players plug and play. And for a playoff run, hey, the Suns team, like I said, that closing lineup needed a playmaker next to them, super super bad, and now they got they got Tyus Jones. I think in a world where they go against the Timberwolves again, you will now have you would still have McDaniels probably guarding Devin Booker, but McDaniels won't be able to blow up the whole offense anymore because Devin Booker was their everything, or Bradley Beal. And Bradley Beal isn't that good of a playmaker. So now you have Jaden McDaniels guarding the ball less because Devin Booker is going to be on the ball less. And he's going to be creating those advantages for Kevin Durant because Kevin Durant was being guarded by Anthony Edwards a good amount. And come on, if you have a playmaker that could just get KD the ball and let him take advantage of that, come on, man, he gonna cook. Edwards was also guarding Bill a lot. They were switching the matchups a lot. Yeah, that Timberwolves series, they were just outplayed, outmatched. And now, if they were to go back and play them, probably still lose, but it's gonna look better. And at the end of games, they're gonna be able to do what they want better because you won't have everything going through Devin Booker playing point guard, and he's not a point guard. And now this team, yeah, looks like a real team. And shout out to the Phoenix Suns, man. If you a Phoenix Suns fan and you enjoyed what I had to say, hopefully you left a subscription already or a like already. And if you're not a Phoenix Suns fan and you can't wait until I talk about one of your teams or see what I got to say about any topic on the NFL or NBA, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'm currently at 140 subscribers, so every subscription, like, comment matters. I'm gonna be done begging for stuff on the internet, man, because that's kind of embarrassing. So yeah, God bless and have a nice day.